Welcome to the Superconscious Success Podcast, where Jen and her Superconscious Success family co-hosts bring you valuable content each and every week on topics relating to manifestation, spirituality, and most of all, using your superconscious to manifest success in all areas of your life. Now on to today's episode.
Hey there, Superconscious Success fam. Welcome back to another episode of the Superconscious Success Podcast. Today, I have a real treat for you. Today, I'm interviewing an animal communicator and spirit channeler, and I am super excited because on today's show, we're going to be talking to Sue Pike. Now, Sue's not only an animal communicator, but she also practices Reiki, both on humans and on animals. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of a long introduction to her, but I think that what she's done is actually quite remarkable. So I'm going to get started and then we can go and talk to Sue and get a little bit more insight into who she is. So Sue can simply send and receive messages to and from animals. She can do this with living animals or with those who've passed into the spirit form. Now, most of her sessions are done remotely from a distance with the same consistent results. She does travel for certain special circumstances. Now, animals, they often love to do Reiki. They actually love to receive Reiki, and Sue will include it in the session if the animal wishes for it to happen, and she does this remotely too. Now, her mission in life is to give a voice to as many of our animal friends as possible. I've got 2 puppies myself, and I absolutely adore them, and I've got some questions I want to ask Sue as we go through this about my dogs as well. So Sue has actually been seen on UK's This Morning Show, Pix 11 News New York, Good Day New York, Positive Energy TV, Late Night with Seth Meyers, and she featured in the article in the New York Times, March 2007, as well as many other publications, all related to her animal communication work. Now, she does do an interview every 3rd Thursday of the month on Eliv's ultrasound show, where she shares powerful and timely channeled messages she receives from various animal realms. Now, the show airs from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Times, and Sue goes on around 10:15. She'll go into that a little bit more as we move through the show. But as a medium or a spirit channeler, Sue can connect with guides from many spiritual realms, including the angels and the archangels, the ascended masters, the elementals, ocean spirits, and even the ETs, and so much more. Now, this gift can assist the people she helps with their soul evolution and in finding ways to improve their livelihood and their well-being. She also uses this gift in her animal communication sessions to communicate with the animal spirit guides, especially if the animal's in a bit of a distracted or a distressed state, so she can still receive information for the highest good. She does so much more, and I'm so excited to be talking to her today. So Sue, how are you doing?
Hi, Jen. Thank you so much for having me. That was quite an introduction.
And that was just a part of it. And that was just the start of it. You have done so much in your life, and
I'm so honored and blessed. I have to say, I'm very honored. And I have to say, when I was a little girl, I loved animals, and it's just funny to me all these years later, because I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But it just kind of came full circle, and now working with animals, it's just makes my heart really happy. So
yeah,
anyway,
I bet
thank
it
you
does.
so much for having me on, and I want to thank you for your work and everything that you do for people. So I really am grateful for your service. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And I want to go into a little bit, like I said, I've got some questions I want to ask about my dogs a bit later, but I want you to go through, how did you get involved in this? You've always loved animals, but you don't just deal with the animals, you also deal with the spiritual realm. And so go a little bit into how all of this came about for you.
Sure. It's an interesting journey, I have to say. I had been looking to doing something in the healing arts, but I didn't know what. Mm-hmm. And so I was checking out different things, and then I had a medical scare. Okay. And afterwards, I called a friend of mine and said, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And he said, come on over, I'm going to offer you Reiki. Mm-hmm. So I went over to his place and he offered me Reiki. And as soon as he did, I knew that was it. That was the thing I had been looking for. So long story short, I studied Reiki, and he introduced me to his teacher, and that was it. It was a perfect fit. And during my studies, I believe it was either after Reiki 2 or advanced practitioner, I got a message in a meditation to stop. I started to practice a little bit and to work on myself and some stuff that I had, some trauma in my life from when I was a kid. So I did a lot of work on myself. So it was kind of like digging out, dig, dig, dig,
Yeah, yeah.
dig it,
I've
dig
been
and
there.
release,
Yeah.
And during that time, I would say about 6 months into that, I did a lot of it very intensely for many months in a row. And, when I needed to take a break, I did, then I'd just go back into it. All of a sudden, I saw my third eye just like
Open up.
whoosh.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit in Reiki, but during this inner work, I just really expanded. And all of a sudden, I started to channel. And it was like, what the heck is going on? Because I didn't know what was going on. And my teacher didn't know what was going on. And so it was really bizarre. And I would just start getting messages and start channeling to I think he was my boyfriend. He's now my husband at the time. And we go out to dinner and I'd start channeling. So I had no boundaries. I had no idea what was going on. And so I had to figure it out kind of on my own. Like, wait a minute, I just want to go out with my husband right now. So you guys leave me alone. So,
Yeah. Setting those boundaries, so important.
Like, love you, mean it, but you got to go now.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I started channeling and working with people. And I thought, I love animals. I wonder if I could do this with animals. So I started to just practice with friends, bunnies and cats and dogs and whatever. And I just started receiving messages. And at that time, it was really just soul messages from the animal. And then another gift just happened I just started doing regular animal communication, which is basically heart to heart, soul to soul, mind to mind. It's telepathy, animal communication, where I can send a message to the animal and then hear the answers back. And the thing is, with animal communication, everybody can do it. It's not, I'm not special, like everybody can do it. So what happened was my husband and I had a trip planned to Utah, and he said, "Oh my gosh, my friend has some horses. I wonder if he'd let you, work with them." And I thought, "Oh my God," because I love horses.
Yeah.
So on the plane ride over there, I said, I kept seeing this one horse. So we got there and the guy was really into it. He's like, "Well, actually, I'm having some problems with some of my horses and I want to know what's going on." So he brought them out one by one. And the last horse he brought out was the one I had seen on the plane.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when I left, actually, after I talked to the horses, he said, "Well, actually, I have a dog I really want you to talk to. Can you come and talk to him?" So he's talking to all the animals. So I left his place, his farm, and I remember announcing, "I am an animal communicator." And when I got back to New York, I thought, maybe I should read a couple books on this. And so all the books I read on animal communication, and it lists, what to do it, I was already intuitively doing. It just came to me. The thing I want to say about animal communication is that a lot of people know the answer of what they're asking me. Everybody knows their animal better than anybody else. And a lot of times during a conversation with someone, they'll say, "Oh my God, I had a feeling," whatever. And so I really strongly recommend trusting.
Yeah.
Trusting,
Your
trusting
intuition.
what you're feeling, because your animal is, sending you messages all the time, and you pretty much know what's going on. And sometimes if you don't, that's a good time to call an animal communicator. And also, I really feel honored and privileged to work with animals who are about to transition to spirit.
Yeah.
People want to know any messages, soul messages. I don't do like, "What's my cat's favorite toy?" Because you know what your cat's favorite toy is. I like to go.
You don't need that answer.
You don't, know it. So I like to go kind of on a deeper level and, what is my animal's soul messages? What are they, what do they want to tell me? And a lot of times we've been connected with them in other lifetimes and not necessarily as animals. Sometimes they're people and they're coming back as animals. I know that's
Yeah.
controversial, but
Yeah. No,
you
because some
know,
people say that can't happen, but I do believe that. And I believe that we do have the ability to, like my dogs, for instance, we had to actually put our dog down 4 years ago, one of our puppies. Well, she wasn't a puppy, she was 15 years old. And then we got another one a few months later because my daughter was going through some real anxiety. And so this dog is kind of like her little blanket, you know.
yeah, yes.
And so we got this new dog, and we often call it like our ADHD dog because she is always so hyper. Like everything is, she's hyped up and she's barking at everything. She's a little Maltese Shih Tzu. So I think she might have little dog syndrome, but but it's funny because we'll go out and she'll bark at all the big dogs. You know, she doesn't recognize that the dog's really big.
So funny.
And so she'll bark at it. But then if a person comes, she won't go anywhere near them. She's sort of like veers off, and I don't know why, because we've gotten her from a puppy. But it's kind of it's really strange. And then our big dog, who because we've got a Staffy crossed with a Cocker Spaniel, and and he's so gorgeous, and he's 9 years old now, and they're like best friends. But we have to bring him in at night because he's getting old. It gets a bit cold outside, so we bring him in.
Yeah.
And when we lift him over the little fence that we've got to bring him inside, she goes nuts. Like seriously, people would think we were killing her. She's that loud. And we often look at her and go, what is going on in your head? We often think that, and we go, what's going on here? Is there some sort of message? Is this like our other dog that's sort of like coming back, giving us messages? Sometimes I'll see our big dog just sitting there and looking into space. And I'll say to him, I say, you can see Rasta, can't you? Because her name was Rasta. You can see her, can't you? She's here, right? And I feel her. It's strange. It's like, and maybe because my third eye's open, I get those feelings. I just know, look, she's around us. So it's really,
animals definitely see spirits.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's why they're acting out, actually. So if you have an animal who's all of a sudden kind of cray-cray, and they're tracking, they're looking at something, and they're like, making weird noises or whatever, it's most likely a spirit that may need to go.
Yeah.
So you lovingly, if this is for everybody, if that's happening, because not all of them, they don't mean any harm. They're just a little lost and they need a little help to leave. Yeah. And so you can just ask that entity to leave. And I remind the animal too that they can ask the entity to leave. And sometimes they say, yes, but I want my human to help me.
Okay. So is it normally like when you say that it's somebody that needs to leave, it's somebody that we know?
Not necessarily. No. Like this cat the other day said, there's a large female presence who's very unkind, who comes and likes to mess with me when you're sleeping in nighttime. And so the animal said, they showed me the room, and I just saw the left corner of this person's living room. I said, you have a portal there. Yeah. And they're coming in, and there's this, and I'm getting chills just talking about it.
I'm getting chills too.
She was like kind of cranky. And so I said, you need to sage or, call on Archangel Michael and ask, for her to go, and just, you need to go back to where, you need to be, and just ask the angels for assistance and stuff. And she left. But they can totally, they can totally see and feel those. And if they're not seeing it, they feel it. I mean, animals are like little sponges. And so, sometimes people say to me, how come my dog is so anxious? And the person is up and down and running around, and can I get you something? And they're,
they can
anxious.
they can sense that. Right. Yeah, it's interesting because, she just goes absolutely nuts. And I think it's, I don't know whether she can sense something with our other dog, or like you said, whether there's some other spirit there that's kind of that's disturbing her.
This is when you're picking her up?
No, it's like we're picking him up to put him over. Yeah. And we're about to pick her up, but then she's just going absolutely nuts. And she jumps up at his face. Because she's so little and he's a bigger dog, she'll jump up at him and she wants the attention. It's like, okay, I'm here. You've got to notice me. So she's just got some really weird mannerisms, but she's the cutest little thing you're ever going to see. She's just absolutely adorable. But yeah, it's just some of the mannerisms are so strange. And so, but when you talk about the spirits, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they're like, even my husband said the other day that he was wondering whether there was some spirit in our house, because he's woken up and he's actually seen stuff in the room.
Oh, I just got my hair standing up.
Just got to chill down my back. But he's actually been woken up to this fog going across the room, and out the window. And so he said the other day, he said, I wonder if there's something like in the house that
affirmative.
He wasn't sure whether he was dreaming but he says, no, I was definitely awake. And it's I said, okay. I said, well, there's something that you have to somebody that you have to let go of. There's somebody that has to sort of like move on. So it's really interesting. So I wonder if there is something going on like that. But now, if somebody is wanting to, like you said, everybody can communicate with the animals.
Yes.
But you've got to tap into that intuition. You've got to tap into that feeling. You've got to be able to. Is it clairsentience? The feeling of something.
Well, it's a multitude of things, but basically, the most important thing is to be quiet. Yeah. So I go through a process before a session. So I have people send me images of their animal, a couple of days before.
Yeah.
And before I actually connect with the animal, I meditate. So I get into a good place. And when I connect with the animal, I basically ask permission if it's okay to talk with them.
Yeah.
And it's just a quiet soul to soul communication. And so, yes, if you're working on expanding your intuition, figure out which way you get messages. So for me, I hear things, I see things, I know things, and keep expanding your intuition, and just practice with your animal. And you can ask them to give you a sign, because they want to work with us. They want us to know, what's going on. And so during that quiet time, I have the back and forth with the animal, and then I'll look at the questions the person has sent me, maybe get some information before they contact me, in particular if the animal has crossed. But anyway, back to, yes, it's how you receive messages. And the animal and spirit, I don't know how it works, but they always make it possible for you to hear, feel, see, know, smell, however you get messages, you'll be able to. And then the trick is to be quiet and listen with your heart, so you know what they're saying back to you. So I may ask an animal, please tell me about your past, because a lot of people, I work with a lot of abused animals. And so a lot of people want to know about their past. And I don't want to get too specific to traumatize the person, but they might need to know general things like, this animal is afraid of tall men that wear hats because, XYZ happened. And the animal, I'll either get an image, like a movie, where they show me
what happened.
20 animals stuffed in a little cage and stuff all around, and hoarder, whatever, or, being kicked, or, whatever it is. Or it doesn't have to be a bad thing. They can also show me, another animal that they really love and miss, or so it's almost like a movie. So that's the other thing too, when you want to communicate or learn how to communicate with your animal, is get down in their perspective. What is going on from down there? What are
Yeah.
they seeing? The other thing is, because I'm an empath, and a lot of people are, and if you
Yeah,
can
me too.
feel it, right, you can actually, when you're connecting, I can feel physical ailments in
Yeah.
the body of the animal. So, and I just say, as soon as I feel it, I'd like to release it. Thank you. So I'm not, having a
Yeah.
hard, a bad back all day.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think that animals, they're natural empaths too. Like,
oh yes,
because when we're sad, they will instantly be drawn to you. It's
yes.
kind of, and you can tell with the look in their eyes, that they're actually feeling everything that you're feeling.
Oh, they know.
They know instantly. And yeah, and this is why I think our little dog has been so good for my daughter, because when she was going through the anxiety, like, I think that maybe they take a lot of that energy.
Yes.
Being the empath, that's what we do. And so yeah, so I think that that's why we'll tend to see, when we've got animals, they can kind of be our best friends. But we've got to be careful too, because
Yes.
if we're an energy vampire and these dogs are absorbing everything from us,
Right.
then we need to be careful how much of that we're actually sending across to them.
Exactly. And you can clear their energy
Yeah,
field as well,
it's
just
important
like
to clear their
we do
energy.
with him. Exactly. And it's along those lines. Whatever you're saying, if you're saying something but you're acting differently than what you're saying,
Yeah,
they're tuning into how you're acting.
yeah, yeah.
So and also the something else, I don't know, it just came to me to tell people: always concentrate, think about, visualize if you can. If you can't visualize, don't worry about it, but just think about the behaviors that you love. Always talk about the
Yeah.
behaviors that you love, because
Not the ones you
sometimes they
don't
don't,
like. Yeah.
yeah, they don't know the difference sometimes, like between no, I don't. So for example, there was a dog who was pooping next to his bed, and he did it a couple times because he was sick.
Yeah.
And then the guardian was going to work. It's like a 45-minute drive. And every day coming home, he's thinking, oh God, did he poop next to the bed? I hope he didn't poop next to the bed. I hope I don't get home and find poop next to the bed. So he gets home, and guess what? The dog poops next to the bed.
Of course you attract what you put out.
Well, he's hearing poop next. He's not hearing, I wonder, don't.
But
So as
that's how
soon
our
as the
subconscious
guy,
mind works too. So theirs works exactly
right,
the same way. Yeah.
right. So when the guy finally said, so it makes me so happy when you go outside, the dog
Went
starts going.
outside.
So it makes me happy when you leave Fluffy alone and walk by Fluffy. And imagine the other cat or the dog walking by Fluffy. So you always, and if you're going for a walk and your dog is anxious, make sure you are in a grounded, good place, because that energy is coming from you, your heart, down your arm, your hand, to the leash to the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're like, we're going to have a good walk today, you're going to go by, Ralphie, who's giving you, just get in that good place first. And then that's what they're going to respond to.
Exactly. And I have noticed that, like, if you're say going past a dog and you're worried about whether that dog's going to attack you or whatever it is, if you're anxious, then the dogs will start to get anxious, and they'll start to maybe growl or whatever, or get scared away or whatever it is. So it is important, because they pick up on our feelings, as we said, natural empaths. They'll pick up on exactly how we feel, and so we have to be careful about what we're transmitting
absolutely
to them. So well, that's so interesting, and that sounds like a really cool job.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I have to say too, is that animals are hysterical. Like, there's so many times that the person and I are just cracking up. So for example, the other day I was talking to this cat, and the cat was being very specific. I really wish you didn't play with me with this thing. I don't like this thing. Please play with me with this toy, and da da da. And then the cat said, and by the way, tell the man, meaning the lady's husband, that he needs a new toy too, because he's so serious and he thinks so much. He needs to He needs a new toy. And the lady's cracking up and she's like, well, that's true. He does think too much. The cat's like, that man is thinking too much in its brain part.
Oh,
And then I
that's
had
funny.
one dog say once, tell him he's a good boy, because to the person, because that's what they tell the dog all the time. You're a good boy. So
Oh no. So
they're just so funny.
when you hear these messages, is it kind of like, you know, when you're channeling and you channel the spiritual realm, is it kind of like the voices that you hear with that, or is it a feeling, or like how does it feel when you're actually communicating these messages?
So it's so I get the messages in different ways, but when I'm just doing that heart to heart, mind to mind, I hear or I see the image, like I said, like a movie of
Yeah.
what they're telling me. So sometimes I'm not hearing a voice, I'm just seeing
Seeing
everything
the
that
movie,
it's
yeah.
showing me. Right.
Okay.
And then sometimes I do hear, tell the man to get a new toy, because he needs to play more. And then sometimes, in addition to the connection with the animal, I connect with the animal's spirit guide. So just like people, how we have that crew around us, so do animals.
Yeah.
And so in addition, so for example, the animal might not know, if I want homeopathy or, I don't medically diagnose, I'm not legally
Yeah.
able to do that. But I do get messages like, we feel he may be allergic to chicken.
Okay.
Talk to the vet and see, it's always talk to the vet, talk to a professional. But I do get messages. The other day, this animal just was sneezing and stuff, and and I said, check with the vet, do some allergy testing, because I kept getting that this dog has major allergies, and to wipe its paws when it's coming in, wipe it down so it's not bringing the stuff that it's allergic to from outside to inside.
Yeah.
So it's a combination, really. It's not just one way that I'm receiving it.
Yeah.
It's the dialogue and the connection with their guides and the visuals and the feelings. So I might ask them, do you feel bad anywhere in your body? Or do you mind if I offer you some Reiki so I can feel, your body? And sometimes animals are funny. They're like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I
They've got
explain to
attitudes.
them what it is. And they say, no, I want to be alert. And I think I might get relaxed if you do that. And I don't want to be relaxed. I need to protect my humans. Like, okay. So then I ask if it's okay if I just scan their body with no energy work, just so I can tell their person if they're in pain somewhere. And then they agree to that.
Yeah.
And then animals who have been abused, I basically say, you are in total control. I can lower my energy and raise yours, and we can try it. And if you don't like it, we'll just stop immediately. You lead me.
Yeah.
And so they like that, because then they feel
they've
safe,
got control.
Exactly. And you know what? The animal's my client, not the person.
No,
so if
that's
the
right.
person's saying, I want them to get Reiki, but if the animal doesn't, I'm going to respect the animal, obviously.
Yeah, exactly, because it's the animal that you're working on. So for those that don't know, let's just go a little bit into what Reiki is, because there may be people out there who are not quite sure about how it works, whether you're talking about on animals or on humans. Can you go just a little bit into what Reiki actually is?
Sure. Rei is universal life force energy. That's all love out in the world. And Ki is your own chi, prana energy system. And the Reiki practitioner is the vessel, basically, that brings that love energy from them to you. And you do your own healing. And you take in as much or as little of that Reiki energy that your body's ready to receive at that moment. So the Reiki practitioners are not healing you. You are actually healing yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's I work with people I've worked in many different environments, and it's really kind of fascinating. I mean, after 9/11, I worked on people at a healing center was people that had lost family in the towers when I lived in New York. I'm in California now. And I worked on, firemen with equipment on and stuff. And they were like, I don't know what that was, but that was good. So I feel kind of relaxed. And it's interesting because children can be very, very open to it. And they can say, I saw grandma, blah, 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 who may have passed. So, children who are still open, who haven't been conditioned to close that down yet.
That's the problem, is the conditioning, isn't it?
When
we're told we're crazy because we see this, or we're crazy because we feel this, then it blocks us, and then we don't open up to it until you're 30 years later and you go, oh, maybe there is something to this stuff going on.
It's like, forget that, close it down.
I don't like that old way.
Right. Yeah. So Reiki is so beautiful because it's just love. The energy is love. And some animals, like my cat used to like to be around in the Reiki room, but he didn't like Reiki
himself.
Really sensitive. So a lot of animals are very sensitive to it, and it's just way too much for them. Yeah. They don't mind being kind of around it. But sometimes even that's like, okay, I'm out of here. He might stay around for about 15 minutes, maybe 10. And it's like, yeah, thanks, bye. And he'll, he would exit. But it's just a beautiful heart-centered modality. And again, the beautiful thing about it, I remember the first time I offered Reiki to my first Reiki teacher, and I was so nervous. It's like, my God, I hope I do this right, and did it. And she's like, Sue, get your ego out of the way. This has nothing to do with you. You're just bringing it in and giving it to me. I was like, all right.
You got told.
All right. And it's so true though, because it has nothing to do with me. Yeah. The thing that I do because it is my living, I am careful as to what I put into my body, because I like to keep my body, field my channel as clear as possible of junk. Yeah. So, the more stuff you're putting in your body that clogs up the system, like I just feel like not as clear. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, especially if you're looking at becoming a channeler, or you're looking at wanting to really connect. I mean, my purpose here is connection to the higher self. That's why I believe I was put here. Connection in general, which is why I try to connect people through podcasts and everything else. But in order to do that, you've got to have that open channel. And so it's really important. And I find even periods of fasting really helps in that regard, to really opening that up. And
absolutely.
So I think that I think that's a really important point to make, especially if that's something that you're wanting to become involved in. If you're wanting to start to really hear the messages of your animals and stuff, be really conscious of that sort of thing.
Definitely. And meditation too. I have to put a plug in for meditation. And when I say meditation, some people automatically go, shoot. And so I want to tell people that there are many ways to meditate. Because when I first started, I thought it was just, sitting, oming, which if that's what you do, that's amazing. That's great. There's
lots of guided meditations.
There's guided meditations. There's also moving meditation, where just walking
meditations.
Right. And being present, everybody. That's the key.
That's what meditation is. It's just being present.
Yeah. Breathe, be present, acknowledge the tree, the sky, the rocks, the grass, the whatever, all of your environment.
And appreciate.
Thank it. And that's, Tai Chi, Qigong. There's so many forms of meditation that find the one that resonates with your body. Actually, our cat, he was amazing. My husband and I would meditate in the morning. Yeah. And the cat would come. Animals love to meditate, actually.
Oh, okay. So we think they're sleeping. They're probably actually meditating.
Yeah. So he used to come and sit next to me, and then he'd get up and he'd sit next to my husband, and then we just all three meditate together. And then sometimes we were a little late. He would come around and stand in the spot like,
Mom,
let's
is it
go.
not meditation time?
Hello. And speaking of meditation, this is fascinating. Actually, I think maybe you know this already, but when animals are in pain and they're maybe ready to transition, they meditate to remove themselves from physical pain.
Yeah.
So they actually can astrally travel. So a lot of animals would say, you know, I'm in and out of my body.
Yeah.
And so it's so beautiful. And it's important for people to know too, that they do this, because for us, it just looks like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't believe they're still here and this must be terrible. They can actually remove themselves from physical pain and they come back in. They're not really ready to cross yet. So they kind of come in. So if you see your animal.
And you think that they're in pain.
Yeah. If you see your animal with their eyes not really wide open, but not closed, they're kind of open a little bit, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, because my dog used to do that not long before she passed.
Oh, interesting.
And
I mean, I'm not saying they don't feel pain, because obviously they do, but they can lessen those times by being in and out. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, very fascinating. Okay, that's a really cool point. So do you do most of your work at the moment with animals? Do you still do your spirit channeling and that sort of stuff as well?
Yes, I do. Basically, right now I'm doing everything remote. Yep. So all my New York Reiki clients, we still work together over the phone. Okay. So I do what I call Reiki Extra, which is I work with, obviously, Reiki, any other energy work that comes up. I work with crystals. So before each session, I pick which crystals want to help that person and put it all next to me. I take a picture of it, send it to everybody. And then during the session, I walk people through, you know, what I'm doing, what I'm seeing, and all that stuff. If there's a cord that might be cut, or I see a past life that's ready to be removed, always asking permission, always having them protected. I write down any channel messages for their healing. It's different than a reading. Yeah. So I do that. And then I do, I guess you could call them readings. Basically, I channel messages directly from the person's and my spirit guides to answer whatever questions. I don't predict the future. Yeah. We just talk about, you know, whatever may be blocking them from true love, or is it for my highest and best interest to whatever, if they have questions on energy or how they can expand their intuition. I mean, whatever topic, nothing's too small, nothing's too big. And then I do the animal communication as well. So the 3 different modalities.
Yeah, no, that's
which is
awesome.
fun.
It is
it's fun. So fun.
It is
like
fun.
I could channel guides in the morning and then talk to, you know, Ralphie the cat later. And you know, it's just
you're living the life, Sue. You're living the life. Oh, it's and so which so in terms of the guides, do you deal mostly with people's spirit guides, or do you deal with the ascended masters? What's your sort of
Yeah, some people's spirit guides are ascended masters.
They're ascended masters, yeah.
Right. And what I find interesting is the different energies that come in depending on who I'm channeling. So for example, the other day I was working with this woman and I just almost started crying because the energy was so huge, and I saw this blue light. And as soon as I see a blue light like this and I feel like that, Mother Mary was coming in. And Mother Mary was that person's guide. And I was like, and so, but I always ask for when I'm working, I say, please, I ask all the guides, animals, and ancestors of the highest order only. Yeah. All of the person's councils of light beings of the highest order only, please come in. So no riffraff is allowed.
Yeah, that's right.
And I say a few prayers before that. So it's their guides, and sometimes, you know, angels will come in, and that's a whole nother energy as well.
Yeah. Yeah. pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I'm always starving, you know, if I'm channeling for about an hour, when I'm done, I'm starving. I don't know what I have to eat like stat. Anyway, so yeah, it's a combination. And I also call in my guides, animals, and ancestors of the highest order. So sometimes they're suggesting something as well in addition to the person's.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting, and I love the channeling. I've done many podcast episodes with channelers that that bring people through, and it's quite fascinating. So but
so
even with channeling, I think that most people can do it. But you have to be very open, and your third eye's got to be very open, and your crown chakra's got to be very open, and in fact all the chakras have to be open for you to channel properly, but particularly those two chakras. But yeah, it is fascinating once even when I'm channeling the higher self, it's quite a fantastic experience. I often say, oh, I got another download. That's what I call it. It's another download. And now my collaborators go, cool, she's got another download. We're swapping tactics again. Yeah, because I was told, like, I got a rap over the knuckles the other day from my higher self, just saying, sweetie, you're pushing yourself too much. Time to just to calm down a little bit. And I went, okay, I get what you mean. I'd been setting myself too many deadlines, and I was getting myself stressed out over it. And it was don't do that. Don't do that. You don't need to stress. And it's all in divine timing, and it'll all happen when it's meant to happen. And so I got a bit of a rap over knuckles, but it's okay, because then I just managed to sort stuff out. So it was good.
There you go.
And that's the thing. If you have faith and you trust, then, and that you're always looked after. And this is what these ascended masters and all these people that you're channeling will say to you.
Exactly.
No need for fear.
No, not at all. And that will block your intuition.
Yeah.
So if you're working from fear instead of trust / faith / love, that will be a blocker. And for some reason they're being really funny. I'm getting the fairies are saying, hey, don't forget us. Because sometimes the fairies will come in and say, you're all very serious, too much, and we want you to be lighthearted. The animals say that too. All the animals think first of all, they all think
we're too serious.
Be at home. They think we should be at home 24/7, sitting on the ground, playing with them and feeding them 24/7. Like, if they had their way, they wouldn't want us working. But anyway, the fairies come in a lot to remind people to play, and the dolphins do too. I get a lot of messages from dolphins that come in, and they're so playful and amazing.
Yeah, I always believe that the dolphins are like my spirit animal, because I've always had a connection with them. They're just so beautiful, and so graceful, and and playful. And that's the thing. They're so playful, and so I think that I think that's quite amazing, and I think that you have an incredible life of being able to do this every day. I tell you.
I have to say, I feel very honored. I'm very blessed, and it's just so I just learn so much all the time. From the animals. They're just amazing. So I just want to say, for the animals. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you work with all animals then?
All animals.
All animals, yeah.
Mm-hmm. My favorite, I have to say, when I was doing that show in London, they had a sloth.
Oh.
And oh my God, she was amazing. She was just so beautiful. Anyway, so the animals, I just want to put a plug in for them, that you feed them quality food.
Mm-hmm.
So just like us, and it's interesting when you're transitioning an animal, perhaps you've adopted and they're eating, not that great food, just put a tiny bit in of the good one, and then each day increase that, because it's kind of like going from having a cheeseburger and French fries and a chocolate shake to a salad. The animal's like, I don't think so.
This tastes like rubbish.
But the food affects their behavior. So a
Yeah.
lot of times it's like, what's wrong with it's because they're eating crappy food.
Yeah.
The other thing is exercise, exercise, exercise your animal. And sometimes the animals that are really smart, they need mental stimulation. So in addition to the physical exercise, they also need to exercise their brain. So
Yeah.
if you have a very, very intelligent animal, make sure that they're figuring things out. They have different toys for, different species to
Yeah.
help them figure things out.
Yeah.
Because they like to do that. A lot of times behavioral issues are from lack of exercise
And boredom
bad
sometimes.
food. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
Especially
why
if
is
they're,
my
yeah, especially if they're out at work all day and then
Yes.
they come home and then I know people and they never exercise their dog, and I'm like, that's so sad. Like my husband and I, no matter what, every day our dogs have got to go out for. We could get home from work at 9 o'clock at night and we're out taking them for a walk because we've got a big backyard. They've got plenty of space to run around. But it's that stimulation with the outside environment and
Yes.
with other dogs or other people or whatever, which is really important for them. We would go nuts if we didn't have it.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I put them out in the yard, but sometimes they're not going to exercise themselves. They need us to run with them and do stuff,
Exactly.
Wow. So it's really important. And the last thing too is teeth health.
Mm-hmm.
So when the animal's teeth are healthy, their gut is healthy.
Yeah.
So it's really important to have your animal's teeth checked. And I know in some places they do, they can do surgery without putting them down because that can be very terrifying if your animal is a little older. You don't want to put them under.
Yeah.
I know that in some places they do like a semi thing. I don't really know all about that, where they can do the teeth work, the dental work without putting them down.
Okay.
So it's just really important.
Check the teeth.
Yeah, check the teeth, definitely. Check the
teeth.
Yeah,
we try as good as we can to brush their teeth, and it's not always easy because our big dog hates it with a passion. But it's and also be careful with some of the stuff that you feed them. I remember our little dog that we had to put down. She loved blueberries. That was her favorite thing. And when we'd give her blueberries, like in summertime, she'd have the frozen ones. And we'd just give her a bowl of blueberries, and then she'd come out and she'd have 4 blue all around her mouth.
That's hysterical.
And she used to love it. And it's like, and our, we try to give variety to our dogs. And then we've got some little guinea pigs. We got 3 little guinea pigs, and they were my daughters, but I've kind of taken them over because she's kind of given up. So, and so I kind of, I alternate grains with lots of veggies and all that sort of stuff as well. But they're absolutely adorable. They're
that's
adorable.
Really good because some animals tell me, imagine if you had the same thing every day.
Well, I was feeling so bad, and I'm like, I would get so bored of just the same thing. So like I'll give them, for their stimulation, I'll give them like carrots, and then I'll like shove it through the cage so that they can sort of like play with it and they can gnaw at the whole carrot, and then I give them like superfood mixes with different greens and corn.
Nice.
They love corn, and so they have kind of a variety. And then I'll give them some grains for their digestion, all that sort of rubbish, or as much as I don't like grains too much. But I was finding when I was giving them just vegetables, they were losing weight, and so I needed something to sort of like keep some bulk up, because they were like, one was getting so skinny. And so I started giving him his hay and stuff again, and he picked back up again. So
great, yeah.
So but they're absolutely
getting a message. I'm hearing is it pre or pro? Prebiotics.
Okay.
I just keep hearing. I just get chills. Yeah.
Okay, I'll look into that. So but they're such funny creatures though.
They're
so funny. And they are messy. You have to clean their cages a lot, but it's kind of like they're just so adorable. Like I was like, oh, it was taking a lot of my time, and then I was going to give them away and I went, I can't, I've fallen in love with them. They're just like, they're so adorable.
Yeah.
They look at you and they just like, you're just like, I need to give you a cuddle.
Like,
just...
okay, let me just kiss you now.
Yeah. So cute. Anyway, this has been really, really interesting and I've absolutely loved it. And before we do go, can you let people know how they can get in touch with you and all of those wonderful details?
Sure. You can just shoot me an email. I'm at Reiki Sue, that's ReikiSue @gmail. If you want to go to my website, it's Sue Pike Energy, that's PIKE.com. And I'm on Instagram, which I post a lot of animals on my Instagram. So
nice. I'll have to look at that.
It's Sue Pike Energy is my Instagram, and Sue Animal Talker is my Twitter.
Wonderful. So go ahead there and send her an email or look at her website. Yeah. She does have a pretty cool website. I went and had a look at it yesterday. So take a look, and thank you so much for being with us today, Sue. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Jen, and thank you again.